All right, where's my job offer for Turkey Al Sheikh as a boxing analyst or ESPN or one of them? Pretty much the fight went just as I imagined it would. That Crawford would be landing the better shots throughout the fight, and that his IQ is just a tiny bit higher than Canelo. But props to Canelo for having as well very high IQ, because there was definitely some good setups that Crawford had that didn't land. But more importantly, or more weight was the Canelo setups that did not land. And then just the general punches that Crawford was able to land. There was a couple of times throughout the fight he was able to just toss out 6 punch combinations where 3 of them landed pretty solid. I'll try to put some of those clips on here. And it's like, you look at the highlights after the round is over, and it's like, yeah, the right hook to the body gets in, a sideways uppercut gets right through the guard into Canelo's face. And he's just touching him up and just not there for the big shots. He was not available to be hit by huge shots. The only real punch that Canelo was able to land, 2 punches, was a straight right hand. You can see that in slow motion. There's no dispute. Crashes right into his face a couple times, but not often enough. Not often enough. And Crawford was able to adjust and just pretty much not be there for that too often. And then I'll admit a mistake. See, this is something I think is really important. People like to say, oh, such and such punch landed, or a judge might see a punch landed, but then when you look in slow motion, it didn't. So Canelo, I'm just impressed with Canelo's lead left hook to the liver, because I want to throw that punch at people. And I feel, or at southpaws rather. I'd like to throw that at southpaws, and I just feel like I'll be walking right into a left hand. Like Canelo has that good balance and good timing and good footwork, and he got that punch off unanswered quite well. When I was watching it, I was like, wow, he's landing this huge left hook. Not often enough for him to be winning the rounds, but he was landing, and I thought, man, I guess Crawford is taking a good liver shot. But you can see in one of the interviews afterwards, Crawford's like, they weren't landing on me, they were blocked, they were touching my elbow, and I know how that goes. I've had that, because my hands are often quite low, protecting my body, and big shots come in, and the outside, the trainer, they're like, yeah, right, like that, go to the body, and I'm thinking, like that? It missed. It didn't hit me in the body. Even if the glove touched my side or something, and it seems like it went around the arm, the power missed. No punch really hit my body in that situation. Most of it was absorbed on the elbow, so I'm guessing, I don't think Crawford was lying. That's pretty much what happened. But still, props to Canelo for being able to at least throw it and be unanswered. He threw it in a way that Crawford wasn't easily able to just counter him or make him pay for that particular lead left hook when he threw it a few times throughout the fight. He just was able to block it, I guess, and catch it properly. But to everyone that was like, oh, Canelo's so big and the power and this and that, and I just think this is my I told you so video of no, he's not. He's not that much bigger. Never mind. It's 2 arguments that I was making in my prediction video. Never mind the size. Never mind the IQ and the speed and the accuracy that I thought Crawford had a bit of an edge on. Never mind that. He's not even bigger. And people just couldn't even, the typical fan seems to not be able to see that, or even most of the analysts. What are you going to do about the size difference? Like he was fighting Tyson Fury. He's taller. He has way more reach, Crawford. And they both fought 47 and 54. They're both about the same size. At 68, Crawford looked bigger, a little bit bigger. He was leaner. I think it's another thing is that most people are not very aware of how the body even works. No one tracks their calories. No one recognizes that a person can lose a lot of fat and be much lighter and yet still be stronger and have more muscle than the next guy who weighs the same as them. And if you look at them standing next to each other, Crawford looked leaner, a little bit less fat. People don't think this because they're thinking oh, Canelo's fat. No, I'm not saying Canelo's fat. Obviously, Canelo looks great. But he carries more fat percentage than Crawford did at 168. So Crawford, to me, is really just the more suited fighter at that size. And then the IQ and the reach advantage, that was it. He was able to sort of set the pace, get some jabs in, whenever he wanted to stay back. And then when he was on the inside, he dominated the inside. So he said he felt stronger than Canelo. And we got to see that when he was on the inside and Canelo threw huge shots. Crawford blocked them, countered, landed, cleaner knuckles on the face. And while you can't always judge a fight by the faces of the 2, opponents at the end, because maybe the other one just landed a couple of really big shots that cut the person's face, while the person with the marked face, landed more punches and won the boxing match. That's not the case here. Canelo wasn't hitting Crawford very much. Crawford was hitting Canelo a bunch. And as far as those punches that he landed, you can't just factor in Canelo's chin and say oh, he didn't get hit. Just because you're tough doesn't mean the points and the punches didn't land. So Canelo was, bruised up after the fight, and Crawford looked like he just took a jog. He looked like he just was relaxed and ready to fight again. So there's that. All the people that were like, Canelo's way too big, look a little closer to, someone's actual size and weight class, and recognize how the body works. There's so many weight fluctuations a person can have with water weight and fat percentage, muscle, bone density, and no one kind of factors any of that stuff in, and just we're like super focused on the numbers. 154, 168, 147. Oh my God, he's so huge. But Canelo just moved up to 168 because of the skill gap, and he did very well. But for the most part, he's not bigger. He's still the guy that was making 154. He just didn't have to struggle with his weight to make 154 anymore, and he can make 168. And Crawford did the same. They're both pretty much the same size. They're both giant elite 147 fighters, or just big size 154 fighters. Big 54, enormous 47, and they just agreed to fight at 168. It's like, nah, that's it. That's how I see it. That's how I saw it before it happened, and I think I was proven right that they just like should be walking around at 168, like, so they didn't really have to cut water to make that weight if they're in shape. All right, wait for the next prediction.